Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and welcome to once again to another live news update show. I'm gonna be waiting for a few more people to tune in before I really get into it, but I love doing these things because it allows me to connect to the audience. And what I am planning to do here, once again, with this live news show is I'm going to do a whole bunch of reports, and it's going to be individual. So when you hear me wrap up, say signing out from World Alternative Media, find the truth, be the change, and all that, I'm still coming back. So I'm going to cut them all up into smaller pieces after and put them up as separate reports, kind of like what Next News Network does. I'm going to live edit it, all that kind of stuff. And then once I'm finished with, let's see, one, two, three, four, five news reports. I'm going to take your questions and all that. I see some comments already. Rika, the hopeful voluntarist, hello. Richard Fletcher, hello. And Shiranjeevi Satrakonda, he says hi, Steemians, and Running Bear and Patriot for God. A bunch of great people. I'm a little bit frazzled because I've been working nonstop lately, so if I jumble my words up a little bit, that is why. Michael Rachansky, good to see you, man. Saw him out in Acapulco. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. So, without further ado, I'm going to try winging a whole bunch of live news reports while live editing. It was a lot of fun last time. I'm going to try and step it up a bit. I've got a ridiculous amount of sourcing material and clips to go to in this, so I'm gonna just go for it. And like I said, for those just tuning in, I'm gonna open it up, do the quick report, finish it off, go back to talking to you guys, start another one, and do it all over again. So when I close off the small report that I do in this live stream, it doesn't mean I'm going anywhere. So stay tuned, keep watching, and let's do this. All right, let me just get ready. You get to see me in a bit of the process of doing a report live, I guess. Next News Network does this all the time, and then I figured, that would be a good way to just edit it live so I don't have to edit it and go through all the processing and all that kind of stuff, and just have a whole bunch of little tiny reports to put up that I call Freedom Minute updates. As you could tell, I spent less than a minute actually thinking about what I'm going to call it. Anyway, let's do this. Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we're here for another Freedom Minute update, and the story today is on Venezuela. So as this article from Daily Mail says, mass exodus from Mad Max violence in Venezuela. Thousands flee across bridge to Colombia amid desperate hunger and soaring crime following economic crisis. And at the same time, we are seeing this article from Financial Post. We are dying. Venezuela's oil workers have become so hungry they are too weak to do their jobs. And, this is what happens when you have a staggering inflation rate, hyperinflation, dependence on oil. We just saw recently Maduro feeding people rabbits, basically, because people are dying of starvation. They're going into zoos to steal animals. This is the inevitable breadline, situation that we see in all massively centralized socialist countries. Fiat currency has failed time and time again, thousands of times throughout history, going back to 1024 AD. And this is nothing to scoff at, folks. This is serious, serious stuff. People are struggling, people are dying, and people are trying to get out as fast as they can. At the same time as seeing all this nonsense, about, from Maduro for the Petrocoin. Like, okay, so you hyperinflate our currency, so I know I'm definitely going to buy one of your Petrocoins. There must be a lot of value in that. Folks, stop falling for the same fiat centralized, centrally controlled systems. This is the inevitable end of a socialist society. We need to be individuals and depend on ourselves as individuals, as voluntary collectives rather than coercive collectives, and then we will see peace. We will see an end to the vast amount of poverty and monopolization that we constantly see in everyday life today. So let's keep this in mind, and let's stop promoting these centralized systems. People like Bernie Sanders, we just keep repeating history over and over again. So this has been another Freedom Minute report, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. All right, and I'm back. So I'm going to edit that out again. For the people who are just joining, the idea is I do these quick little reports live, and then we will edit them into smaller pieces to throw up on YouTube after as individual clips. It helps me get more content up and reach more people and all of that. All right, so let's see. The next report is, let's see. I'm just checking. I do have a script for some of it, but most of it I'm just winging it. And if it doesn't go well, let me know in the chat, and I will not be posting it as a separate report, because sometimes, it's live and I'm just, as Michael Holiday writes, screw it, we'll do it live. Exactly. Yeah, but it doesn't always turn out so well. I think my next report here is on Canadian adults spending 2 or 3 hours a day on cell phones. Okay, so on to the next one. Let's get this over with, and then I will take your questions. So stay tuned, folks. Again, I'm doing these individual reports live, and then I'm finishing it off, and I'm coming back to you. So do not tune out when I say this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change, all that. Do not tune out. I will be taking your questions in a bit. I got 4 more reports to do, and we'll be posting them separately after. So let's get on to this next report. Here we go. Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and we are doing once again another Freedom Minute report for you live. And the story today is that half of young Canadian adults spend 2 or more hours a day on their cell phones. And this is a seriously insane story if you think about it. I mean, a lot of people are worried about the zombie apocalypse happening with cell phone use among teens and millennials these days. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing. You see, recently we've noticed that there's a huge exodus away from mainstream media to the internet, and now there's a lot of nonsense on the internet. And I really think that it's important that we focus on educating as many people as possible. But there is some good stuff on the internet. And if teens are distracted from the usual bread and circuses of television, then we might be heading in a good direction. If you look at Hollywood recently, there's a huge problem in Hollywood when it comes to making profit. We see similar things with the NFL. TV ratings drop almost 10%. Network C revenue decline. So think about what led to the revolution in Rome. So everyone was distracted by the bread and circuses, and eventually Rome burned as Nero played his fiddle. We all have heard that story before. So in this case, I think that there could be a good side to people being distracted by their cell phones. I mean, people were distracted by newspapers before. Now they're, picking out their own information as long as they aren't looking for confirmation bias or being in their own echo chamber. We could be seeing the end of the modern day bread and circuses, which means the distraction mechanisms aren't working. People going away from mainstream media, away from Hollywood, away from sports and entertainment and all that kind of stuff that has been enslaving and distracting the minds of the populace for far too long. There is a good side to this, so we need to work as hard as we humanly can to push for greater education among the populace going forward. And, teen brains are easy to mold. We've all seen that before. Let's hope that this millennial generation is exposed to enough good, interesting information that really debunks the establishment points of view. And then we could truly have a major revolution on our hands. So until next time, this is another Freedom Minute Report. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. All right, there goes another one. Again, these are just quick reports looking at recent news stories. This next one looks like it's going to be fun. Ontario's minimum wage, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Again, I'm winging all this, so it's don't mind me. I'm just kind of going from story to story. And again, for those that are just tuning in, I'm doing these short little clip videos. Then I'm going to throw them up as individual reports after, and then I'm going to come back after I do. I think there's 3 more reports I got to do. After I do those 3 more reports, I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk to you guys and take your questions. I've got 3 more reports. So don't go anywhere. When I wrap up these videos, stay with me. I want to talk to you guys after. So let's see. I'm going on to my next Freedom Minute report. Again, I'm winging this, so this is like super sketchy. Hopefully it works out. might not. Let me know if the reports suck, and I won't post certain ones if they don't turn out so well live, because I am just, winging it and going at it as much as I can, and we'll see what happens. Just 1 second. One guy named Javi Bar says, "Do you miss Anarchapulco?" Yeah, obviously it's much better than the minus 1 million degrees I have in my city that, totally sucks. Not a lot of people to hang around and talk about, individual liberty with. So yeah, I of course I miss Acapulco. Acapulco is amazing. Anyway, going on to the next report. Okay. Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and welcome to another Freedom Minute Report. And today, one of the things that we will be talking about is the Ontario minimum wage. This has been a topic of some controversy. As this article from Financial Post says, Ontario hasn't seen a jump in restaurant prices this big since GST came in 26 years ago. And of course, Ontario's minimum wage increase is showing up on restaurant menus. Prices for food purchase at the province's eateries rose 1.9% in January from a month earlier, Statistics Canada reported Friday from Ottawa. That coincides with legislative changes that saw the minimum wage increase more than 20% at the start of this year to $14 an hour. And we've done reports on this before. Seattle's minimum wage hike, an unmitigated disaster, according to fee.org. And then, of course, one that we did on This Is Why the $15 minimum wage is a scam and who benefits and blah, blah, blah. And this is a very important topic, folks, because a lot of people don't realize what the minimum wage actually does. So, of course, there are big proponents of it, like McDonald's. McDonald's can afford to pay a bigger minimum wage. Of course. You know who can't necessarily afford to pay a bigger minimum wage? The small businesses that are being driven out of the market. People on the left constantly talk about how terrible these big monopolies are, and they are right. They are promoted by government and their beliefs in the first place that prop up these big, gigantic corporate monopolies. We need to actually focus on stats and, reasonable economics here, folks. When you raise the minimum wage, you could raise it $20 an hour more than it already is. He'll just help raise the price of living up as well, alongside the inflation of creating fiat currency out of thin air. This is a very dangerous path to go on, folks. This has just been repeated over and over and over again. So if you want to see greater wages among the populace, first of all, you need total free markets, individual demand, so there's incentive to create new great things, produce more, hire more people because you're producing more at a lower price, lowering the price of living, etc. And of course, then you'll employ more people and then you'll pay those workers better prices. And if you don't, there's another business that will easily swoop up the best of the best workers. And there you go. You just see a circle of, great productivity and incentive to create and innovate. That is where we need to get to. But instead, people look at government that creates the problems in the first place to solve the problems. We need to start understanding sound economics and monetary principles, as well as free markets and free market principles. This is so important. So instead of looking for, government to prop up, low wage workers, how about we prop up, without the hand of government, by individual demand, small businesses, and create the incentive that is necessary to creating a vast amount of new markets for people to work in, employment for people to, get involved in, and higher wages and productivity. So that's it for this Freedom Minute update. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Okay, there's another one. Okay, LM writes in the comments, Josh does not believe in gold and silver. That's nonsense. I believe in gold and silver more than anything. So if you want to stop BSing people in the chat, LM, that would be much appreciated. Please don't put words in my mouth. I love gold and silver, and I've been promoting it since, the age of 12. I just also like cryptocurrencies. I like diversification of wealth and not being stupid and putting all my eggs in one basket. I also like cash flow outside of capital gains. But of course, gold and silver is a wealth insurance rather than, rather than capital gains and rather than, investment. So keep that in mind. LM, cut out the nonsense. I am going to go on to the next report. So again, For those just joining us, sorry for those that have been joining us since the beginning for me to have to keep repeating this, but the idea is that I'm going to be doing several reports and then doing them live, editing live. It's very difficult, by the way. And then I'm going to be putting them up as individual reports after. So when I wrap up these individual reports, don't go anywhere. I'm still here, and I'm going to take your questions. And I might call out nonsense from trolls in the chat who are spreading absolute bogus claims about me. Yeah, don't do that. Doesn't look good, man. Anyway, going on to the next report. Let's see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, this one. This one's about Elvis, as it would be. Kind of about Elvis. Let's see. I got a reason for talking about this, by the way, but this one has a bit of a longer explanation. So let's see. Okay, I just want to make sure I get this right, because again, I'm doing this live and then just cutting it out after and putting them up as separate reports, and it is not easy. It is far from easy. I see LM has disappeared from the chat. Yeah. Michael Holiday says, you are fired, LM. Yes, he is. He got busted. Uh-oh. Okay, now, let's see. Let's go on to the next story. Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we are doing once again another Freedom Minute update, and let's look at the story today. Elvis Presley's daughter claims she has just $14,000 left from her father's fortune. And Lisa Marie Presley, who is suing Barry Siegel, her former business manager for reckless mismanagement, inherited $100 million on her 25th birthday in 1993. Elvis's fortune had dwindled to only a few $1 million at the time of his death in 1977. But the Presley brand, including the tourist attraction Graceland, meant assets were built back up into the $100 million trust. Some 25 years later, Presley, the only child of Elvis and Priscilla, now 50 and a singer in her own right, claims she has been left with almost nothing thanks to the actions of Mr. Siegel. In a lawsuit filed in Los Angeles this week, she accuses him of dissipating her wealth through his reckless and negligent mismanagement and self-serving ambition. In court documents, Presley claims Mr. Siegel sold 85% of her interest in Elvis Presley Enterprises. He then allegedly began liquidating Presley's assets in order to supplement her trust income. She also claimed her business decisions left her with $500,000 credit card debt. And moving on here, Mr. Siegel says Presley is to blame due to her out-of-control spending. So I wanted to quickly give a little bit of advice here. Something everyone could learn from. Don't depend on others when it comes to your money. Be self-sufficient. Look at cryptocurrencies, gold, silver, capital gains, and cash flow. There's absolutely no reason $100 million should result in $14,000 in 25 years, unless you're completely irresponsible. Again, folks, look to yourself for answers. Don't depend on banks, government, or other people in general. I mean, come on, folks. Let's get real. There is a way to save money. You could have $20,000 and make it last a decent amount of time. $100 million, big fail. So until next time, this has been another Freedom Minute update. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Okay, I am back for yet another quick look at the chat. She was also Michael Jackson's widow, I believe, yeah. Strange world. Anyway, I just wanted to use that story, to promote the idea of voluntary self-responsibility, which is a hallmark of freedom itself. I figured it's a good way to get clicks on an Elvis-related post and bring them to the message of voluntarism. At least to the best of my ability. Sometimes you have to kind of throw the entertainment industry a bone in order to help educate people and bring your message forward to more people. Just a tactic, I guess. Not everyone has to like it. Anyway, I worked with a few of my recent reports, like with Manny Pacquiao and stuff, trying to ban independent media. And one of my other most recent Freedom Minute reports. Now, this last report I'm doing is going to be difficult. I have a ridiculous amount of clips to clip to while talking. Please bear with me. Again, for those just tuning in, I'm doing quick Freedom Minute updates live, and then I'm going to take your questions after this next report. So when I sign out of the next report, do not tune out. I'm coming back. So let's get to this then. Oh man, this one's longer. It's funny. I call them Freedom Minute updates, or much more than a minute, but it's just my quicker updates, not my more or most in-depth updates ever, though I do kind of go into things a little bit here. I get carried away. The next report's on Egypt, and I've been researching a lot into certain things that the government's up to over there, and it's gotten so extensive that I was sick recently, and I just fell into this stupor of watching every YouTube video suggestion ever. You know, when you're kind of delusional and sick and laying in bed, you're just like, click, click, click on this suggested video. Anyway, so I learned a lot, and I want to kind of do something on that as well. So, let's see. So those watching right now, I'm going to do this report, and then I'm going to take your questions. So if you want me to be able to see all your questions, super chats are definitely helpful because comments do go up fast, and there is a bit of a time difference between when you're seeing this and when it's actually happening. I think the live thing is off by at least, I'd say probably more than, maybe even a minute, somewhere around then. Okay, so I'm going to do this quick report, and then I'm going to come back and do your questions. Okay. Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here for another Freedom Minute update, and this one's a little bit interesting, and it regards Egypt. So, as this article says, Egypt says 4,400-year-old tomb discovered outside of Cairo. Now, this is a rather interesting story. It is believed to have been owned by Hetpet, or belonged to Hetpet, a woman known to be close to 5th dynasty royals in Egypt. The tomb discovered was made of mud brick, and as is usual in ancient Egyptian tombs, was full of great artistry to bring the mummies to their next life. Hetpet is thought to have other tombs in Giza's western necropolis. So this is an interesting story. But then in other news that's somewhat similar, an ancient Egyptian cemetery with 40 mummies and a necklace saying Happy New Year was found along with 1,000 statues in the Nile Valley this month. This is just south of Cairo. As you can see, there's images here. Definitely out of the ordinary. And then it's just, there's always so much more to the story, folks. You know how I talk about government intervention and daily life and everything? Well, this is not any different. This is another example of, and I'm going to go into this right away, how the Egyptian government blocks proper excavation. Only what they want to be found is uncovered. We can thank tools like Dr. Zahi Hawass for that. Chambers were recently discovered in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, something I'm also going to be doing further reports on soon. Okay, so what was that, an inert gas or something? No real investigation is happening. In fact, Hawass claims they already knew about the chamber, but that they're not interested. And, of course, geologists have proven that there was water erosion around the Sphinx, proving it's closer to 12,000 years old rather than 4,500 years old, when the Sahara was covered in jungle following an ice age. And you could see a few more examples of that here. It's absolutely crazy. People aren't aware of how old the pyramids and the surrounding area really is, but I will be doing further reports into that in the future. Moving on to the next, recently discovered Göbekli Tepe shows vast architectural knowledge around 12,000 years ago too, 6,000 years earlier than the history books claim. So there's another example of something that the government seems to be hiding because they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to look into it, they don't want to excavate. And of course, Cairo is quickly expanding and destroying ancient architecture. And then there's also evidence of exploded pyramids. So how do you explode a pyramid again in ancient times? YouTube channel Bright Insight did an excellent report on this. And then there's ancient monolithic monuments. This is a crazy one that have been used as garbage dumps near Cairo and covered by sand. Why would the government use these amazing architectural marvels? Look at the rock there. Look how heavy that rock is. Look at the artistry. But, of course, the government uses it as a garbage dump. Seem reasonable, right? No, it isn't reasonable at all. It makes no sense. So we are going to continue to report on this because it makes absolutely no sense. It's time that we start asking what's really going on and what's being covered up, which we'll be reporting on more in depth in the future. Again, check out Bright Insight on YouTube. He does incredible work really looking into this. Again, this is something that I kind of came out of, looking at videos half asleep while sick. Recently, laying in front of my computer. I was trying to get over a cold and I just started clicking on suggested videos and I learned all this stuff. It's amazing because I love architecture, I love engineering, and I went to school for it many years ago, and this is not the kind of stuff you learn about, folks. There is a history to the world that we aren't being told regarding Egypt and Peru and other places around the world. I'm not saying aliens. No one's saying aliens here. I'm just saying there's questions and the government seems to be covering it up, and there's always a reason for the government to be covering it up. Who benefits? Cui bono? We have to look into this. Was there an ancient cataclysm? Was a pyramid used as a power center? Folks, imagine this for a second. So for years and years and years, there's metal and plastic objects. And then after, let's say 10,000 years, what's left? Well, only really the rock structures. Everything else is turned into dirt. Again, a good reason to look into this. Maybe there's a bit more to ancient history than we're told, and all we have left are the rock structures. Just open your mind for a second. No matter how crazy something sounds, when the government's covering something up, it's worth looking into. So again, for another Freedom Minute update, thanks for joining us. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Okay, I'm back. Yes, I did find Brian Forrester. I've been trying to talk to him and trying to put something together recently with him. But anyway, yes, I know that was a strange update, but it's something that I really wanted to report on for a while, and I will be reporting on more. Actually, it's funny because in Acapulco, Mexico, Adam Kokesh wanted to interview me, and he comes up to me and he says, "What's a strange thing that you talk about that you think about, something that you're interested in that no one talks to you about?" And I'm like, Egypt and stuff, and he's looking at me going, "Well, let's do a video on that. I'll interview you about it." And I'm thinking like, can we talk about maybe healthcare, free markets, that kind of stuff? He's like, no, we'll do a video on something you're very uncomfortable with. Thanks, Adam. So we did that, and it'll be up at some point in the near future. He's got it cataloged, and he's going to post a video of me talking about the pyramids in more in depth than I just did, and what the government could be hiding. So that might be an interesting thing for all of you guys to look into. Again, the history books say civilization is about 6,000 years old, and I'd even say it could be 12,000 to as much as 50,000 years old. There's a lot of covering up. I'm not saying aliens. I'm saying maybe, individuals. There are people around that had great brains that were able to do unbelievable things. So anyway, it's worth looking into. It actually totally debunks a lot of the theories around evolution and everything too. Look into carbon dating and the inaccuracies in carbon dating, etc. There are a lot of issues. Talk to geologists, talk to people who've been putting their life's work into this, and look at the resistance from the establishment scientific community, just like we see with, global warming and other things. If you dare question that which we have established, then you will be kicked out of the community and we will basically throw you overboard, which is kind of the opposite, the antithesis of science itself. To say, how dare you question things and have an open mind and look into things that aren't just regurgitated from academics of the past. Anyway, I'm losing some viewers talking about this weird stuff, so time to take some questions, and please send your questions in. Let me know if the video output's bad. It says on my end that video output is low. Hopefully everything's fine, but just send me some questions about things that you're interested in, and I'm looking forward to talking about it. Rika, the hopeful voluntarist, mentions Mark Passio, so does Alukia. Mark Passio... his father had just died, and I met him briefly in Acapulco. Honestly, I didn't really want to interview a guy right after his father died. I wanted to let him relax. Like, I mean, he was so in demand. He's being pulled this way and that way. I just wanted to let him be. I've met him before too. I'll see him again. He's a very interesting guy. Let's see. John Snyson has tuned in. Apparently my video output isn't too bad. It says on my screen, video output low. There's buffering and, blah, blah, blah. Viewers might be seeing only buffering and cutting out and all that. Let me know if that's happening, because I definitely don't want to be talking like an idiot if you guys can't hear me. Okay, let's see. Bjorn Lee, hi Josh, do you think maybe the Christian... King James version of the Bible is the perfect word of God? I am an individual, but an ant in a great universe, my friend, and I have actually a lot of respect for Christians. I'm in this place where I'm always looking for answers, so I don't call myself anything. I don't call anything the absolute, but I have been convinced more and more about, due to the establishment divide push against Christianity towards more satanic beliefs. That is a very, very dangerous, event that's happening in the media, in the establishment narrative, just pushing towards Moloch and all this craziness. I'm very anti-establishment, and when I see establishment going one way, I usually look at what's on the other side, what's the opposite way, and we see more voluntary faith and voluntary contract with God and all that. And I refuse to really say this is what I believe. I guess I could say I'm a little bit agnostic. I'm certainly not an atheist, but I also don't want to say I'm a Christian, because that would be wrong. It would be, dishonest. But I have been truly breaking into all these books for many years. I read the Quran, I've read the Torah, I've read the Bible, I've read these books, and I appreciate many of the scriptures based on what they are. Let's remember, the Bible isn't one book. It's a bunch of books that were put together. It's not all one book. So I would say be careful on what you generalize and shove together. There's also lots of scriptures that have been hidden for centuries, pulled out of the initial Bible, found in caves, and anyway, this is one of those subject matters that I'll leave to Dan Dixon Press for Truth, who's much better at it than me when it comes to that. He's very passionate about this issue. I'm passionate too, but I'm always looking for answers. And one of the great things about life to me is that you never find the mysteries of life. The mystery is the mystery itself. Maybe the point of life is never knowing the point of life. All I know is I do good unto others and make sure that people around me are happier when I join them, or when I leave them, than when I join them. It's very important to me. So John Snyson mentions, looks like ABLV bail-in, Josh. Okay, yeah, so we were talking about recently a report that's really gone viral over the last day, in the last 24 hours, about a Latvian bank, bank run and possible bail-in and withdrawals frozen and all that. Definitely look into that. That's interesting. David says U.S. or ISIS. Well, yeah, I mean, every major terrorist group is the creation of government in the first place. It's funny because they go against Bitcoin. They're like, people are financing terrorists with Bitcoin. Meanwhile, 99.9% of money used to finance terrorism is fiat, and the vast majority comes from government, not like individuals who are like, I'm just going to fund them. No, that doesn't really happen. It's usually CIA, Black Ops, MI5, MI6, etc. We've seen that several times. And I mean, look at 1952 military coup in Iran, and then of course the arming of the Ba'athist Party in Iraq in 1968 against Iran, and then the arming and funding of the Mujahideen against the Soviets, aka Al Qaeda, and then the Taliban meeting in the White House in 1982, I believe, with Ronald Reagan, and then also arming and funding the Iraqi government as well, I believe, in 1983, and then the Muslim Brotherhood, and then ISIS, and you can go on and on and on. This is just the perpetuation of an incredibly dangerous problem reaction solution mentality of creating enemies. So this is what my issue with the borders people is, that you go overseas, you bomb a whole bunch of children, you kill millions of innocent people, and then you arm the people that are pissed off with you, and then on CNN they bash Muslims all day, and then suddenly one day they start praising Muslims all day and attacking anyone that bashes them, clashing society together, and then continue to arm and fund the guys that you pissed off, and they end up bringing them into the country, put them on more welfare than the individuals already on welfare in the country, creating a massive welfare state with cultural divide left and right. This is all part of a massive script, folks, in order to bring down society and in order to clash us against each other, so we infight instead of fighting the real enemy, which is government, which created this problem in the first place. So that is one of my biggest issues with all this nonsense about borders versus no borders, etc. Yeah, I see the difference between voluntary borders and globalist borders. A borderless society under globalism and a borderless society under voluntarism, but honestly, I think it's just a distraction mechanism to pull us away from the true message of individual freedom and what the government's actually creating and perpetuating forever and ever and ever. Let's look at that, and let's fix that, and let's fix the individual and fix the heart of the individual and fix the mind of the individual and break them free from this paradigm that has gone on far too long. So now I have a super chat from Javi Bar. Thank you very much for the $5. I really appreciate that. He asks, why do you think Steemcoin hasn't taken off big time in spite of its amazing scalability compared to Bitcoin? Do you think it will? Steem is actually traded more than Bitcoin. The volume that is traded is more than Bitcoin. Steem is actually, I think, the number one traded coin of 2017, if my sources are correct on that. I don't think it's not that it hasn't taken off. There's far more coins than there are Bitcoin. I mean, it's still, it doesn't compare to Bitcoin overall, but remember it's about the market capitalization versus the scarcity, so the circulation and the price of living. So when you're looking at something like Steem, I think that one of the things that we are seeing is an undervalued asset there, where people are putting a bunch of money into Steem, but not to the extent where they could be, where you see STEEMIT is slowly growing and hasn't grown at the same rate as everything else. But I look at STEEMIT kind of from the perspective of, look at the application on this blockchain and look how few people are on it. Like about 1 million people are on STEEMIT. This shows great potential for the future. This shows great potential for its growth in the near future. And some people say, well, EOS might replace it with a better social media platform. Good. I'm always for free market innovation and competition, picking out the best there is to, use, the greatest decentralized, systems. So right now I love STEEMIT. STEEMIT could be replaced, and if it does, I hope it's by something better, and I will be all for that, even though I love STEEMIT. So with that said, I do think, though, about $17.30 is what Stephen Kendall, a great analyst, an amazing analyst that I've interviewed many times on WAM, has forecast. He forecast $2.80 almost to the day, months and months before it happened, when it was at about 60 cents. And then it fell back down from $2.80 to around 80 cents and 70 cents and around that. And at that time, he was like, in the next month, it'll probably hit $4.70. Well, he was one day off. January 1st instead of December 31st, it hit $4.70. And then got overvalued, went up to $9.30 due to speculation, dropped down. It's around closer to $4 now. Again, a great opportunity to earn a bunch of Steem, because you get your money's value in Steem at this current value. And it means when it goes back up, we will be facing something great. I'm incredibly interested in EOS in the near future. I think that I think that EOS, with its massive market capitalization of about $5 billion half a year before the ICO is finished, I think we are going to see something epic in June. Just remember to register your tokens, or you might not actually be given EOS. So make sure to go to eos.io to figure that out. I'm hoping to talk with Dan Larimer again in the near future and report on this further. But yeah, let's see. I'm going to take a couple more questions. I'm already getting wiped out. I posted 2 videos today earlier on before this, and it gets exhausting after a while, and I'm going to have a whole bunch more videos to post up after. I'm looking at STEEMIT right now. A few not troll comments, a few spam comments. Folks, if you are on STEEMIT and you're one of the people that just write very beautiful poster, I like your beautiful post over and over again on everyone's post, you will get a bad reputation score, you won't make money, and you will be pushed out because it's all based on reputation. Like individuals have to deal with reputation when dealing with people in person. So keep that in mind. Let's see. And then John Snyson mentions here are Canadian banks. They are way worse than Latvian banks. Yeah, the deposit ratio, all that. It's unbelievable. John and I will be doing videos in the coming days, I'm sure. I'm backlogged, I think, for 10 more interviews still from Acapulco. We did a lot of interviews. We were expecting to do less than last year, but we ended up doing more. I did lose one interview with a great guy, Kenny's Kitchen on STEEMIT, because there's audio interference with my microphone. G. Edward Griffin's voice kept chiming in about baking soda, which means someone else was using a same frequency microphone somewhere near me and was interviewing G. Edward Griffin, and it cut into our video. I feel more bad for that person because that means there's a good chance that G. Edward Griffin got cut off in their interview. Luckily, John and I are good friends with G. Edward Griffin, so we could talk to him whenever we want, and not everyone has that opportunity. So I kind of feel bad for whoever that was that where the interview went wrong there, interference from the microphone. Let's see. Tyler D says or asks, do you foresee at least one of the Canadian big 6 banks doing bail-ins this year, 2018? It's hard to say. It depends on the level of the crisis. I think it's very possible, but again, the fundamentals are off the table due to the level of manipulation in the monetary system, so you can't put a date on any crisis. You just know it's going to happen eventually. I think the banking system is coming to its inevitable end. We are seeing what appears to be a massive exodus happening. And we're seeing all the telltale signs, but we've also been seeing that for so many years. I mean, the banks have been insolvent since before 2008, for a long time, really. And John Snyson is good at explaining this issue to people. I think that there's a chance that we'll see bail-ins this year. It was definitely written into our legislation, our budget in Canada. But it's impossible to really say until it happens, which is why you shouldn't keep all your money in the bank. If your money's in the bank, it's not yours, it's the bank's. And if your money's always going through the banks at all times, you are going to probably lose your money if you don't keep it safe and be self-sufficient and financially responsible, which is a hallmark of freedom itself. You as an individual need to take care of your own money and stop depending on governments and banks to take care of it for you. That includes your pension, your retirement. You should be saving up your own retirement. The banks will not give you a pension. You will not get a pension if you are planning on retiring anywhere further than maybe 3 or 4 years from now. I think that's a very possible scenario. So that's very important. Brandon Alul asks, Josh, do you recommend any books? I'd say The Anti-Capitalistic Mentality by Ludwig von Mises, and of course Socialism by Ludwig von Mises, and The Fed by Ron Paul is a really simple one that's good for everyone. Liberty Defined as well. Then there's Private Governance by Edward Stringham. Really interesting book talking about how you can privatize everything on the planet that government does and be just fine and be more efficient. It's a great book. I interviewed him a while back ago when I didn't even know who he was. I bought one of his books off of him, and then on the plane back from Las Vegas from Freedom Fest last year, I was reading it. It's just incredibly smart. Simon Atta says the Bible. Yes, Absolutely. No, seriously. Even if you're an atheist, you should read the Bible, folks. I read the Bible when I was an atheist. It actually pulled me kind of away from being an atheist, but it's a very important book. I mean, one of the most important collections of books on the planet. Again, the Bible isn't a book; it's a collection of books. Anyway, Michael Redchansky says, start your own bank, use crypto and other assets. Absolutely, be your own central bank, and of course, also diversify gold, silver, cryptocurrency, cash flow, and of course capital gains, all of that. Let's see here. I'm looking at this person, Paul McCummisky. I looked at it for a second. I'm like, Paul McCartney's commenting? Read it wrong. Let's see. He says, there's a purge of pro-Second Amendment sites, pro-Christian sites, air gunner sites, and InfoWars. Do you expect a purge of World Alternative Media? And do you have backup channels and a Gab site, DTube? I am on YouTube at Josh Sigurdson. It's another account that I have. Definitely check out that account as well. Please subscribe. It's got very few subscriptions, but I do post videos on there from time to time. So that's Josh Sigurdson on YouTube. Actually, I'm going to post it in the live chat. So just one moment as I get the link here. So you can right-click it instead of going out of this video, because then I'll lose you guys, and then I won't be able to talk to you, and I'll be lonely. So let's see here. Okay, copy, and throw that into the chat. Copy and paste it into another tab, and or right-click and open a new window or a new tab, because otherwise you're going to be pulled away from this video. Anyway, so I also have DTube at Josh Sigurdson at STEEMIT. At Josh Sigurdson at STEEMIT. You can find me there. All my DTube videos get posted there as well. So you can find me there, and leave your STEEMIT handles in the chat. I'll try to follow as many of you as possible. I love interacting with the viewers, because too many people are all caught up in their own life and all caught up with themselves, and don't pay attention to the people that really make it all make a difference. It's you as individuals that really make it possible for me to do what I'm doing, and I really do appreciate it. But yeah, there is a massive purge of pro-Second Amendment people, of pro-gun people. There is a massive purge happening, and that's exactly why YouTube's shooting itself in the foot, and people will move away from it. YouTube isn't a private free market business. YouTube has taken billions of dollars from the government alongside Google, and so is Facebook. So these aren't private businesses. People keep saying, well, it's a private businesses. Look, I want to post as much as possible on STEEMIT, but one of the big issues is reaching outside of the echo chamber, because I don't want to just talk to people like you. I hate to say it. I want to talk to people who don't believe anything I'm saying, and help transform their lives and open their minds. That's more important than anything, is educating outside of the echo chamber, which is why I love Anarchapulco and everything, but I can't do that all the time, because it's too much of an echo chamber in a lot of cases, no matter how much I love it. So we have to be uncomfortable sometimes and reach outside of that paradigm and reach outside of the box and try and bring new people in. And YouTube, that's the one good thing about it, is that we can reach people outside of the echo chamber via the suggestion box on the side of videos. You can teach so many people so many things. Even with algorithm trying to screw you over, you still show up in some things, and it still brings more people in. So I love STEEMIT. I love DTube, and I use it every single day, many times a day. But YouTube, unfortunately, is imperative still, until we bring more people there to STEEMIT, DTube, and other places. Minds, library, or whatever it's called. A whole bunch of different alternatives, and maybe EOS is going to create this new thing, as I mentioned before. So hopefully we can do that. But let's work hard on bringing people to the message. Okay, it says your STEEMIT page doesn't exist. It does, though. Let me open a new tab. That's strange. I'm on STEEMIT right now. It's okay when I refresh the page. Okay, just go to steemit.com and type in at Josh Sigurdson in the search. It should be fine. I have no idea why the link itself isn't working. It's very, very odd. I'm refreshing the page with the exact same link, and it works just fine. Anyway, also, like I mentioned, subscribe to my other YouTube channel, Josh Sigurdson. can find it on YouTube. I also posted the link above, and please right-click, open a new tab, and please sub. I could really use it because I barely have any subs on that channel, and it's simply just there in case something bad happens. Also, if you want, I'm going to give all you another option here. If you want, you can join an email subscription list that I'm slowly building. I'm not sending out emails yet, but when I do, it's really important when YouTube totally kicks us all out. Please email me at WorldAlternativeMedia@gmail.com. I'll put it again in the description or in the channels or in the chat. Sorry, my mind's going blank here. So let's see. Adam R says crypto's Ponzi. Again, another great misunderstanding of what Ponzi schemes actually are. Unfortunate. A lot of people fall for the media talking points, and it's absurd. Bitcoin isn't a company. It's an asset. It's a digital currency. And by the way, the fees are really low right now, so that's awesome. Rudy Semaniego, great job. Had a great time at Acapulco. Yeah, it was amazing. I loved every second of it. I definitely want to go back right now, but I have to face the music and deal with people who disagree with me. Oh well, that's what makes Acapulco so relaxing and amazing every year when you go. But don't miss the Red Pill Expo. I just put up a video with G. Edward Griffin on that. Don't miss the Red Pill Expo in Spokane, Washington, June 21st to 23rd, possibly 24th, with breakout sessions, including Change Media University with Luke Rudowski of We Are Change and Dan Dix of Press for Truth and myself. It's going to be amazing. G. Edward Griffin's big event. Robert Kiyosaki will probably be coming back. Mike Maloney, maybe Lord Moncton. I can't decide. Maybe even Nigel Farage. We've been talking about a lot of people that might be coming out to it. And the whole idea for the Red Pill Expo is to bring people who have a red pill in one way to educate other people who have a red pill in another way in order to clash all these ideas with each other. So people that are very educated on one thing but not another learn about that other thing. And, we can create great minds that way. It's an incredible event. So that will be in Spokane, Washington, June 21st to 23rd or 24th. The Red Pill Expo. Anyway, I'm gonna go right away because my voice is going, and I got a lot more work to do. I got a ridiculous amount of videos to edit still from Acapulco. I'm trying to get them up as fast as possible, but it's absolutely crazy. So let me know if you like me doing these kinds of things. The idea of doing the Freedom Minute updates at the beginning and just cutting them out and doing them as separate reports and throwing them up. If you didn't like one of those videos, let me know in the chat. If you weren't a fan of one of those videos, if you don't think it was done well. Remember, live editing, and I'm just going live on all of this stuff. It's not easy. Thank you very much. I'm getting a lot of emails right now about joining the email list. Thank you, David. Thank you, Paul. Again, WorldAlternativeMedia@gmail.com. Send me an email about the email list, and I'll put you on the list, and I'll CC you every video I do in newsletters, etc. It's great in case YouTube takes us all down. So let me know. And also, once again, subscribe to me at Josh Sigurdson on YouTube. Josh Sigurdson on YouTube. It's another channel. It's the image of me holding a camera as the picture for it. Anyway, just building myself a bit of a safety net in case YouTube decides to off me. Very possible. Things are happening. The world's moving very quickly. It's a sign that we're doing something right, folks. Let's not get too down on ourselves. Let's think of it as a success more than anything. We will prevail. You will succeed at anything that you truly believe in and you continue to work towards. Don't run away from your ambitions. On your deathbed, what will you say? I regret doing all those amazing things that were risky, or I regret doing nothing when I had the chance and now it's over and there's nothing I could do. Think about it that way. Be prepared to be uncomfortable. Be prepared to stand up against your fears. What's life worth living if you're not doing anything at all? If you're not making any progress in life, if you're not changing anyone's lives, if you're not leaving the world a better place than when you entered? Just an idea. Anyway, instead of going full self-consciousness guru kind of person right now, I'm going to say goodbye for today. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate the support of the viewers. I can't do it without you. Rudy Semeniego really wants to ask me, are you a Cliff High believer? I don't know much about him. I met him. I can't even go into that because I really don't know. I'm not super well endowed with the knowledge of Cliff High, so I'll have to look further into that. Thanks for the suggestion anyway. Anyway, we will be back. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted by your chat comments. We will be back. I appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't pressed like on the video, press like. If you haven't subscribed, press subscribe. And don't forget to check out my most recent videos and interviews from Anarchapulco 2018. Another amazing year. Can't wait till the next. Anyway, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change.